All right, guys, welcome back to our Out of the Park Baseball series with the Colorado Rockies. I have not simulated ahead just yet because we got a lot of comments from the assistant GMs of the YouTube community going through. Because if you remember at the end of the last episode, you can see that we're 21 and 33, and I was kind of at a loss for words. I didn't really know what to do with this team. So, of course, I reached out to the assistant GMs of the YouTube community for some assistance. And here are some of the comments. So we'll start with this one. Still really enjoying the vids. Thank you. I hope you're scouting the Thunder for talent for the save. I would have a look at tweaking your lineup to get more production. A 1 to 5 of Phillips, Magical, Devers, Soler, Telez might up the run production. Also put Mondesi at 9 to give a bit of speed in front of Phillips and play a bit of small ball. So that could be a strategy that we look into. Number 2, this year's OOTP seems like it's on the harder side sometimes. You're telling me. I know fastballs and sliders work best in cores in real life, but I don't know if that's modeled here. Range is a big deal with outfielders there too. Absolutely. I think it's time to scour the waiver wire for relief help and start trading some of your current bullpen. They're only providing you with average, some below average results. Phillips was brought in to be a glove first guy and isn't even doing that. It may be worth moving Chacon to center and either trading for another outfielder or put Soler out there to free up DH for a big bat. I'm just going to go through all the comments and then I'll address them. Phillips seems to be the weak link to me. 65 range for a defensive center field doesn't quite cut it, especially if he's not raking in some home runs with that above average power. And this series is so indicative of what it has to be like trying to put a winner in Coors Field in real life. I've been doing Rockies since OOTP 15, wow, and have had some success. One of your comments about maybe looking for pitchers with higher control movement is something worth trying. I tend to look for 55 plus control and either 55 plus movement or stealth. Both would be great, but not necessary. As far as pitching in this save, I would go in and scout the Yankees, Dodgers 40-man roster, shortlist any reliever you might be interested in that isn't expensive, and then check the waiver wire every day. Sooner or later, they come out on waivers when those two teams start throwing their wallets around. That does come from experience. No greater through an OOTP than trading an ex-Yankee you picked up on waivers back to the Yankees for someone you want. Here we go. Got that loaded. It's probably time to blow it up. Even if this roster did better than the expected 82 and 80, they weren't a guaranteed playoff team. I think that's a good point, a very good point. A couple comments here. I'm going to read the bottom one first. I think you should look at pitchers with higher movement as well. I think you should solve some pieces at the deadline for some higher level prospects. I might rewatch Straight Outta Boston's YouTube series with the Rockies. However, it is an older generation of OTP, but he was successful at developing pitching. Straight Outta Boston was a phenomenal YouTuber. That's how I got into Out of the Park Baseball, so I hope he's doing well in real life. Could you go over the farm system a little more in the episodes? Thanks. I'm rooting for lighter. Tough to see him struggle. Yeah, I could probably do a better job going through the farm system. That's something I'll try to do for sure. I think the reason I haven't done it so far is because there really hasn't been a lot of positive results coming out of the farm system. So, we had Delgado, we had a couple other guys here and there, but for the most part, there unfortunately hasn't really been anything much to report. But yeah, I could definitely try to do a better job of that in the future. But anyway, so Brett Phillips was brought up a lot, and I agree. I kind of was hoping for him to do a little better than he was this season. I can't even say that because in 2023, he was a 2.2 win player. He was OPSing at around the same amount, but I have a feeling that his zone rating was probably a lot better. Yeah, so his zone rating that year was 2.8. This year it's negative 0.6. I know it's a lot tougher to play a good defensive center field in Colorado, but I was kind of hoping that, he's a 0.6 win player right now. He's projected to go 1.7. Like, that's not far off of what I was hoping for, but I don't know. I think I was just expecting a little more, especially with the power. He has 5 home runs right now, but he's striking out 40% of the time, which is a lot higher than it's been in the past. So I think I was just hoping for just a little more, and I haven't really gotten that. He is a captain, which I think is worth noting, but I don't know. I think I just expected there to be something more, and unfortunately that hasn't happened. He did bounce back from a really tough 2024, it seems like, but you can argue what bouncing back really means at that point. So clearly he is not our center fielder for the future. But other than that, Rowdy Telez, I expected a lot more of him playing in cores. He has been really, really bad. You can see he's been an above average bat the last 2 seasons. He was close to a 2-win player in 2023. He was a 1.5-win player this year, but he's been a really, really bad player this season for the Rockies. This is not something that I could have ever expected. But I guess he's on pace to be a -4 win player, which is probably not good. If you take a look at his contract, it was only, as I said, there's a reason I did this where it's essentially just a 1 year deal with 2 team options because I did not know how he would work out in Colorado. I thought that if he could really kind of showcase some of that power, hit close to 40 home runs, he probably would have been good, but it doesn't seem like that's quite going to happen. He's third on our team and runs batted in, but that's about the only positive that I can see. Soler right now has 9 home runs. He is currently tied for second on the team with Chacon. I saw a comment about perhaps moving Chacon to center field, but unfortunately I can't really do that because his range is even worse than Phillips, so I don't think that would be the best thing for him. I think we're going to have to stick with him in a corner outfield spot. And the same thing with Soler. He is not very good defensively, so I don't really want to put him out into the field. I don't know if that would really be worth it. Madrigal, after putting together a really, really solid season in 2024 and half of 2023, he has had a slow start to the season, which has been upsetting. You remember that we signed him to that contract extension. He is 28 years old. I mean, you take a look at our front office here and the salaries. The comment about blowing it up, I don't think I'm totally against that. I know that being, what are we now? This is the 5th season, I guess we've done this, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, this is the 5th season, and we still haven't really had much sustained success, so blowing it up probably doesn't sound very appealing from a viewer perspective. I get that, but, admittedly, Devers is 28 years old, Mondesi's 29, Madrigal's 28, Tellez is 30. Josh James is 32. I'm just looking at guys that have multiple years on their contract. I'm not counting Maury because I don't know if I want to bring him back after the season. It's a lot of these guys are old. Even Michael King, he's still in arbitration. He's 30. Taylor Rogers, that's a relief pitcher with a team option. But a lot of these guys I can't imagine being around when we are going to be good and consistently contending for playoff spots. Like Danny Chacon is probably one of the few guys on this roster right now that will still be around. Hopefully Morjon will be, of course. That's the goal. That's why I traded for him. Have a really good lefty in the rotation, and he was all right. He's been doing all right, but we'll have to. I wouldn't be against trading him. He is angry. His expectation is the bullpen, which is a little concerning. He's struggled a little bit here in recent games. He hasn't really had a good start since May 8th, and now it's June 2nd, so he's gone about a month between good starts. He's really struggled recently. So I don't know if this is a guy I want to keep or a guy, if there was a good trade offer, I'd trade, but I don't think there's anybody untouchable at this point, especially because I would like to kind of free up some money to put into, that's not what I wanted to click, to put into our scouting and development budgets at the end of the season. I think that might be a good thing to try and do. But our ticket price last year was $30.69. Nice. I think that we kind of have to reevaluate what we're doing in Colorado, and I'm scared because the owner, if we go to the front office, the owner right now, he is his current mood is good, but if we fail too many of these goals quickly and we just become really, really bad, I do kind of worry that we're going to get fired. If we take a look here at the farm system rankings, which aren't the end-all be-all, right now we're 5th. That's still counting Delgado and Chacon as a prospect. And then we have Derek Carrillo, who I was hoping would be our center fielder of the future. In fact, I still think that he can be. In 2025 so far, you can see that he has not done very well offensively. I'd like to see him be doing a little better. He's still been a positive value player. But hopefully the idea is that this guy will be our center fielder of the future. So I don't really want to trade for a really, really good center field. I mean, well, I guess we could just always cross that bridge when we get to it if there's a guy out there that makes sense to get, because we do need some help at the center field spot. We haven't really been able to solve that. We thought we did with Harrison Bader early on, and that just didn't work out. So I think we are going to make some trades. I don't know what trades we're going to make. I think that we do need to try to get some young talent, because for the expectations for this team, these guys are just going to be way too old by the time we're competitive. And as I said, I would like to free up some money and kind of just reset the team, reset the roster, reset the farm system, and just try again. Because I think the strategy that I've gone with since I started this save has just not worked. So I'm going to look into making some deals, and hopefully there's some that come about. I'd like to think that guys like, Mondesi, I think would be probably a good guy to deal. He's having a very rough season at the plate, but I would like to kind of trade him while he still has some value. His contract, he only has 2 years left. I hope that from a money perspective, there's still a team that would take a chance on him. He is very unhappy. I have to imagine a lot of these guys are probably pretty unhappy. Madrigal's normal. I think Tellez is very unhappy. Devers is great, but he is fragile, so that might be something we kind of think about. Maybe if we want to get rid of him before his injuries start to become an issue. He is having an outstanding season. 198 WRC plus. He's already put up 3.5 wins above replacement. I feel like there has to be a market for him out there. Somebody, I know the contract is a lot, but I feel like at only 28 years old, I could probably get a decent return. I'd like to think. I don't know. But I'm going to just do that off camera, of course. And then if I do end up making any trades, I say if because I don't want to just trade these guys for nothing. But if I do end up making any trades, I'll walk y'all through it as always. So stand by. All right, so that took a while, but the team is officially blown up. Not fully blown up. There's still some guys here. But I think I made some good trades to just try to bring in as much young talent, mainly pitching, as I could. I just tried to find the best young pitchers that I could try and acquire that'll hopefully be here for the long haul. That way we don't have to go into the free agent market to sign them. I think I'm trying to go now with the approach of growing the arms and buying the bats. I think that might be a good way maybe to go about things. So I mainly just tried to acquire a lot of young pitching talent. I think this is, the second or third time I've tried to do this now, but I'm really confident this time around that we got the right guy. So let me just go through the trades here. So the first trade we made was with the Washington Nationals, and we traded a package of Gunnar Henderson, that guy we got from the Cardinals in the offseason, Mason Fox, Taylor Rogers, and Michael King. And in return, we got Kumar Rocker, who unfortunately we're taking a risk on him with his very high talent. He is dealing with elbow ligament reconstruction surgery, and unfortunately, you can see that on August 8th, 2024, he was diagnosed with a damaged elbow ligament, so he was going to miss 10 to 11 months, so he was almost going to be back here pretty soon. And then, unfortunately, in January, he suffered a setback, and he was going to miss another 15 months because it required surgery. So we're going to take a chance that this guy who's already been a two-time All-Star is going to be the pitcher that he was prior to these injuries. I don't know how the game's going to handle this, but that kind of layoff, I think, is it's worrisome. So I guess the Nationals, they offered him up. So maybe in their minds, they did not think that he could get back to the guy that he was before. I'm going to take the chance that he can. He's only 25 years old. He's only had 3 years of service time, and I can't imagine his arbitration numbers are going to be very high because he hasn't pitched. So that was the first trade that we made with the Washington Nationals. It did hurt to give up Mason Fox because I liked him as a reliever, but he was having kind of a difficult year this year, 31 strikeouts to 18 walks. I think the ERA was a little deceiving. And at 28 years old, I didn't want that to be the reason that we couldn't get a deal done, not trading away a 28-year-old reliever. Gunnar Henderson also hurt. You can see he was basically a top 100 prospect. I thought that he would get playing time with us in the majors this year, but once again, I'm not going to let any of these guys stop me from getting a guy with the talent of Kumar Rocker, despite the fact that it is a big risk on my part. I did debate not doing it just because of the injury, but I figured the way the team is currently set up, none of these guys are really going to be around when we're contending, but Rocker, if he gets back to his pre-injury form, he might. So that's why I did that deal. The second trade that I made was, I think, the biggest deal of the day, and it was with the Chicago White Sox. And so we got two top 30 prospects in Major League Baseball, Danny Rodriguez and Jenderson Zapata, two starting pitchers, in return for Nick Madrigal, who is going back to the White Sox, Tommy Doyle, Alex Guinness, that guy that we signed as an international free agent who had a lot of potential, Aroldis Chapman, and Ryan Feltner. So I didn't want to trade Feltner because I wanted to try him in a starting role. He was a guy that would have gone with what I was looking for. He has really good movement, really good control. His stuff's not great, but he has 3+ pitches. I wanted to try him in the rotation, but I figured that maybe I had to trade something, so I had to throw him in. It does hurt to trade Nick Madrigal. He actually had a no trade clause, which I completely forgot about that I gave him, but luckily he did want to go back to the White Sox. So we'll see if he continues to play well with the White Sox like he was, or if he falls off a little bit. So that hurt to trade Nick. I was really hoping it would work out full time here. It just did not. Trading away Guinness, a guy that was going to have pretty solid contact, good gap power, really good at avoiding strikeouts, a solid eye, elite speed, and good in the outfield. If we didn't have Curiel in the system, I wouldn't have wanted to trade Ganez. As I said, this was one of the first signings really we ever made, one of the first transactions, especially in the international amateur market. He's only 19 years old, so he could really turn out to be really, really good. You can see that it says he can be penciled in for a lion's share of starts at his position, but I figured that pitching is definitely something that we need more of. So I figured that trading away maybe a guy like this for really good pitching prospects would be a good idea. I mean, you take a look at Zapata. As I said, he's the number 29 prospect in all of baseball coming into the season. And I think that he can turn out to be really, really good. He's only 20 years old, 70 great stuff, really good movement, solid control, and then 4 pretty solid pitches. The fastball is his weakest pitch, but the sinker, the curveball, and the changeup look really, really good. So I was excited to get a guy like Zapata, and then we got a guy that was arguably even a little better in Danny Rodriguez, the number 25 prospect in baseball coming into the season. Solid stuff, solid movement. His stuff's not as good as Zapata. His movement's similar, his control is similar. His fastball is better, and he also has a really good cutter, changeup, and knuckle curve. He's a ground ball power pitcher. So I was excited to get both of these guys. But yeah, so we get Rodriguez and Zapata, and I'm excited to see what they can do. Hopefully they help us out with our pitching. I mean, a rotation with Delgado, Leiter, Zapata, Rodriguez, and Kumar Rocker sounds pretty good. But the next trade that we made was with the San Diego Padres. This was just because I wanted to get something for Raimel Tapia. He wasn't going to be around. He's 31 years old, so I just wanted to get something. And we got this guy in Augustin Ruiz, who seems like he has pretty solid potential batting ratings. Seems like he's actually pretty close to Major League ready. He's not going to be able to stick in center field, especially not in Colorado, but you can see that I moved him to left field where I think he doesn't really have the power of a corner outfielder, but he still does have some promising stuff. As I said, I just wanted to get something. He's durable, which is always nice to see. So we'll see if he turns into anything. Maybe just like a nice bench bat option would be great. And we also needed like just some pitching help because of the guys that we traded. So we got Tim Hill. He's going to slide in the bullpen. He's a fan fave. And then Lake Batcher, we have him as well. So those were just depth guys that I wanted to get. We made a trade with the Yankees just for another bullpen piece. We got Austin Davis, a lefty who's having a solid campaign so far for this 2030 Alessandro Alcantara outfielder that had no role in our organization. And the other trade we made was just for a depth middle infielder. We got Jake Hager, who can play pretty solid defensive second base and shortstop, in return for just a 2020 34-year-old Alex Boschers. So those were the trades that we made. This is the way that the team looks now. The lineup is very weak. I wanted to trade Devers, but he has a no-trade clause, and he's not willing to waive it at all. I'm hoping that eventually he's willing to waive it because I would like to get some value for him before he falls off a cliff. But that's just something we're going to have to wait and see. I might make more trades in the next episode. I don't know. I mean, we could look at moving a guy like Soler. I don't think Tellez would have a lot of value just based on what I saw. I really wanted to try to get some more, like especially out of Adalberto Mondesi. Wait a minute. Did I not talk about the Mondesi trade? Oh, I completely forgot about the Mondesi trade because it was down here. Oops. Okay. Yeah, so we traded Adalberto Mondesi. There we go. We traded Adalberto Mondesi to the Chicago Cubs for Ezequiel Pagan and Hunter Green. So Ezequiel Pagan, this is another guy, another corner outfielder. These guys are always pretty easy to find. He doesn't have a lot of power, but solid contact, good eye, good at avoiding strikeouts, good gap power, some speed to his game. He can play pretty solid defensive outfield. He was doing really well in AAA for Iowa, so I wanted to get this guy. He's only 24 years old, so I thought maybe he could help us out a little bit somewhere down the road. But the main piece I wanted to get was Hunter Green, who's a fly ball pitcher, but he has really good control, really good stuff. The movement is a bit of a question mark. It's just average. I know I said I was looking for guys with high movement and high control, but if you can believe it, at least according to my scout, there's not a lot of those guys out there that are easy to trade for, if you can believe that. So we're going to take a chance on Hunter Green as a fly ball pitcher. I don't know how it's going to work. He was in the bullpen for the Cubs this year. He started 8 games for them last year. He started 18 for them in 2023. I want to try him as a starting pitcher. I just want to see if it can maybe work. And if it doesn't, then we can just move him to the bullpen. But there is Lake Bachar. There is Tim Hill. As I said, this is our pitching staff right now. We still have Morjan here. We still have Maury, still have Leiter. I considered trading Leiter, but at 25 years old, I really want to see if we can make it work with him here. If not, I mean, he only has a year of service time, so the value will still be there if we want to trade him later on. But I really wanted to work with him. Our first draft pick ever. I'd love for him to be around. And we have Hunter Green in the bullpen. We called up Jacob Kostichak. He's going to be our closer for whatever that's worth. I don't think we're going to need a closer a lot the way this team's currently constructed. Tim Hill, Adrian Hauser, Austin Davis, a couple lefties in the bullpen, Davis and Hill. We still have Finnegan, Rosa, there's Lake Bachar, and then Josh James we moved to a long relief role because he was not cutting it as a starter. We can always put him back in the rotation if we just need someone to eat some innings. And then in terms of the lineup is definitely weaker. We still have, the top three isn't terrible. It's just the bottom 2/3 of the lineup is not very good. So we still have Danny Chacon, Rafael Devers, Jorge Soler, Tellez, Miranda, Holder, Burleson. We're going to give a shot at starting, Ali Sanchez, and Brett Phillips. So we'll see. We're just going to keep Phillips around on a 1-year deal. I'm not too concerned at this point. We're going to end up losing a lot of games as it is, so I really don't care. We'll try to find a better option at center field in the next offseason. That's not Brett Phillips, but for right now, he'll be okay enough. Our bench right now, there's Jake Hager. We still have Andrew Stevenson. We called up John Torres from Albuquerque. He had a solid start to his season, a 980 OPS in 23 games started, 104 plate appearances. So he's going to be a bench bat for us. And that is your 26-man roster. If we go to the minor league system rankings, we're now number 2 in baseball behind the Pittsburgh Pirates, Delgado, Chacon, Curiel, Rodriguez, Zapata. So we have 5 top 30 prospects, which is really, really good, I think. Even the Pirates don't have 5 top 30 prospects. So I'm excited. I think that these were moves that we needed to make. We do have a lack of, somebody commented this a while ago, and I agree, we do still have a lack of offensive prospects in the system, but we can use this upcoming draft to kind of try to rectify that. We can try to be active on the waiver wire. Maybe some young bats end up there. But those were the moves that I decided to make. Overall, the team was 21-33 when I made the moves. We weren't going to do anything, so I think that the comment that the one person had at the start of the video, the fact that even if this team exceeded their 82-80 projected record, that still wasn't guaranteed a playoff spot. I thought that was a good I thought that was a good way to look at things. So that's why I decided to make the moves that I did. I know from a viewer perspective, it's not fun when you see OOTP YouTuber just blow up the team and you have to deal with a bunch of losses. But I felt that based on how this team has performed, not only this year, but just throughout this save, we started off 53-109, then we had an okay year, then we were bad, okay, and then this year it seems like we're going to be bad again. I think we just need an organizational reset in terms of the philosophy, and hopefully these pitchers kind of help us out. So now it seems like we have a lot of pitching depth, which is good. So now hopefully we just need to find some young bats somewhere, and hopefully the team will turn around. But I want to thank y'all for watching. I'll catch y'all again in the next episode. I know we didn't really simulate ahead a lot, but this was mainly just a try to fix the organization episode. So in the next episode, we'll move forward. And so thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys again next time.